So welcome to the 1990 series. My name is Amanda O'Shea from the Serendipity Experience, Loving Life Coach. And with me today is Mr. Peter Anderson, all the way from Pebmarsh near Sudbury. How are you doing, Peter?
I'm very well this morning. Yeah, it's a chilly morning out there, nice and icy and crisp, and a little bit of mist hanging around, which makes it look quite pretty.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm in Ireland today, and it's been a nice few drops of rain as always, and
of
it's really
course, in
nice and
Ireland.
green, a window that I'm looking out at. So I'm here in Galway for a friend's 50th birthday. So yeah, that's really exciting. Peter, we met many years ago via the Three Principles community on, I suppose, one of the events or one of the trainings or one of those wonderful gatherings that we all end up going to. And I was always so impressed with you being this this headmaster that was sharing this understanding in the schools, and you'd come from this family that's just like emerged in this understanding, and I've always thought that must be so amazing.
It is funny. I mean, sometimes people say to us, because there's my wife. She's been part of this journey. There's my younger daughter Jenny, and then Jenny was with Rudy, and now Jenny's with Dave. My sister-in-law Sue Pankovic, and so on and so on. And so people say, "Oh, when you all get together, which we do quite often, do you talk about the three principles?" And we go, "Well, no, we don't. We just get on with life." What's interesting, I think, is that in the soap opera that's been my life so far, is that the ups and downs and the bumps in the road that could so easily have completely thrown me off, I've managed to navigate them just more gracefully.
Yeah.
And we've had breakups. Catherine, my older daughter, I work with her a lot now, and she broke up with her partner, who's the dad of the two of our grandchildren. Right. And he still lives next door.
Oh wow!
And Rudy has been round here for with his girlfriend, and now with Jules, his now wife. And last Christmas we spent it with them, and so it's enabled us to do that really. And some people have said to us, how is that possible? And the answer is I don't know. I guess there is something about knowing about these principles that helps us not to take things personally.
Sure.
And to see that impersonal nature of it, and stuff happens, and we try and make meaning of it. And I found myself saying, "Oh well, maybe it's that Jenny met Rudy for a purpose, and they've created all that they created, and the principles movies, and they got it out into the world, and now it's time for her to move on." And I could say that, and that could be a nice little story, but.
And isn't it lovely though that people feel that they've got the chance to just say, right, okay, the energy wants to do something different now, and and I know it's going to be okay, and I know you're going to be okay, and and it's nice to have that freedom, that you don't think that anybody is really in a relationship that they really don't feel like is right for them anymore. That's beautiful to have that freedom, that somebody can voice that
and then somehow get through the pain of it, because there was undoubtedly for Jenny and Rudy, there was a lot of pain on both sides really, and that they were able to go through that and come out the other side, and still carry on doing the good work that they're doing in their communities in terms of sharing the principles. So that's
absolutely, and it being a story at the time that is now moved on, and everybody moves on, and what we talk about, nothing's permanent, it's just temporary. Even what's big in today's news, isn't it, is sort of tomorrow's fish and chip paper kind of stuff.
It is yeah.
So you've had through everything, through your own career, Peter, and through like you said, the family, and like all of us, you've got you've got a book, you've got a story, you've got
lots of stories really. I mean, working with children, it was the love of my life really, and at 15 I decided I was doing some voluntary work while I was at secondary school. I did some voluntary work in a primary school, And one wet Wednesday afternoon in an old Victorian primary school with those very high windows where you couldn't see out, I sat in there and I thought, oh, I like this. I could do this. In fact, I want to do this. And so then I was driven from 15 onwards. So while when I look back, loads of my friends had loads and loads of worries on their minds about what it is they were going to do, what did they need to do, what exams did they need to do. My path was really clear. I thought, okay, so I need to get to be able to teach. What do I need to do to be able to teach? Right, I need to do these things. So I jump over those hurdles, and then start doing it. And then being cheeky, really, and thinking, I want to be able to have more influence. So 3 years into it, I became a deputy head. And then 8 years into it, I became a head teacher.
Yeah.
What I didn't consider then is what did that mean for a long career? So it meant that I was head teacher for over 30 years. And then I was a school advisor for a while as well. So there's a group of schools.
Wow.
And in that time, Jenny introduced us to the principals. This is about, I don't know, it's about 14, 15, feels forever now, but it's 14, 15 years ago. It feels like my whole life that's been part of my whole life, which of course, for all of us, it has. Because the principles, it's not like, oh, I've now got the principles. The principles are just a mechanism for, or some words to try and describe how it is we're all showing up in the world and how it's running us and how it's running the show. But it felt so right, really, that I heard Jack Pransky speak. This was after about 6 months of evading Jenny's request. Oh, come and see Sid Banks in London. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I just felt she joined a cult, or a drugs ring, or both of those. And, and the reality is that change in her from being ultra shy to not seemed to me to be impossible. And it was huge when I started to see and wake up to that possibility that for any of us, every moment, it's almost like the possibility of rebirth.
Yes.
So that all that baggage that came, that we've lived up till now, that we think is then creating it. I think it was Wayne Dyer talked about life at times. Some people look at life as if it's like a boat chugging across a really still lake, and there's the wake going out from the back of the boat. And some people live their lives as if it's the wake that's pushing the boat.
Sure.
Which I love that as a metaphor, that all that stuff is pushing us along, and the reality it's not.
Yeah, that's just the kind of the ripple effect of the boat.
Yeah.
I love that. I love some of the Wayne Dyer stuff as well that I used to.
No, he's a good man. Another good soul, really.
That I used to watch, and it's so true. The rebirth. I call the Serendipity Experience coaching program. I do over 3 months or 9 months, and the 9 months I call it the rebirthing program.
Right.
It's literally like a 9-month introduction to the principles, this understanding, and holding your hand kind of as you enter into this journey, because it is exactly that. It is like a rebirth. It's like, oh my goodness, how comes I never knew this stuff? And then you realize, no, we did know it really somewhere. But
there's somewhere deep in your heart, somewhere deep in your soul or in your essence that, when I first heard Jack Pransky speak, I mean, the only bit I actually remember from his talk was, you don't have to believe every thought that you have. Now that blew my head away. But there was something I felt. It was a physical experience that I felt. And this was coming home. This felt like coming home. And then I came to realise after a while that I've always been home.
Yeah.
How funny.
But isn't it the realisation of that? I also did a lot of training with Jack, and it was in one of Jack's talks talking about wisdom that I got my kind of like, it sort of came up through my feet. Like, I'm as wise as you.
Yes. I
remember, sort of thinking when Jack was talking as he does, doing one of his talks, and got everybody was in the feeling, and your sister-in-law Sue was in the room at the time. This is 2012 or 2013, and saying, I remember thinking, imagine being married to someone like that. Like, how easy must that be? Must be amazing. And there we go again, giving like, oh, he's got something that I don't have. And with me having that thought, he said something like, you've got all the wisdom that you need inside of you. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I have that you don't have. And it hit me like a thunderbolt. It was, oh my goodness, I've done that all my life. Give my power away to people I've been in a relationship with, that other people had something that I thought I needed, wanted. So chasing, seeking, searching.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so a lot of praise for Jack, because there's a lot of people that I come across that were like, oh, well, I read Jack Prensky's book and I
Yeah.
saw
Parenting from the
this.
Heart. I mean, wow, what a book. I've recommended that to so many parents.
Yeah.
I bought copies when I was head. I bought copies, and we had copies in school, and I'd lend them out to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Parenting from the heart. And there is, something about sharing this, especially with the children. I know that you're involved in the iHeart
Yeah.
program, and that's amazing. And so am I now. I've started my higher heart training, so by February I will be all completed and bringing the iHeart into Spain, which is amazing. And so, seeing that we're sharing this now with the youth, that's something that you've been doing for a long time, Peter. But you and I had a chat the other day, and we talked about having, if you like, the biggest secret in the universe.
Oh, right. Yeah. Uncovering this best kept secret in the universe. Yeah. I mean, I go into school and going to do some 3 principles training. This was before the iHeart, before I was involved with that.
Yeah.
So we were doing trainings for staff, we were doing trainings for children and classes of children and everything. So I'd go in and I'd say to them, do you know what? My name's Peter Anderson, and I've come to share with you today the best kept secret, not in the world, but in the universe. So this afternoon, it means, because often I was given an afternoon slot, this afternoon it means that you're going to have to listen really well. Because just imagine going home and your mum says to you, how'd you get on today? She said, oh, I got on all right. And we had this man come in and he said, oh, I'm going to tell you the best kept secret in the universe. So your mum goes, oh, right. So what's that? Well, I don't know. I was talking to my friend at the time. So they're all sitting and they're all really keen to know. And so, what I share with them is that then there's, we're living in a misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding is that our well-being and our sense of well-being and our sense of worth and all of that is conditional. And it's conditional on stuff. So if you were an adult, it will be conditional on having the right partner, the right job, the right house, the right car. If you've got those things, then you'll feel all right. If you're a child these days, it will be the right trainers with the right sign on them, the right phone, for goodness sake. Imagine that. Your well-being is conditional on having the right phone. But oh my goodness, talking to teenagers, they take a lot of stick. My eldest granddaughter is 14 now, took quite a lot of stick because her phone was sort of an older phone.
Wow. Yeah.
And children are saying that stuff. So, having that and making it seem like that it's conditional, that well-being, it's hiding somewhere in the trainers. Yeah. And yet, people have those things and then their happiness still evades them. Mm-hmm. So it can't be that. There's a thing that we do in iHeart where there's a little child has got their teddy and holding the teddy, and then they're feeling love and everything's all right. And then mummy takes the teddy away and then they're sad. And then they get it back and then they're happy again. And then it goes back to the mummy and then they're sad again. So it's little wonder that it looks like that the happiness is in the child, is in the little toy, the soft toy. Yeah. It's so funny because we did all that and we then did the sort of more grown up thing. Well, some of you children now have got things like trainers. Is it that? And so then they're coming up with the different things that were important to them that made them feel good. And then we've moved that round about actually it can't be those things, because actually if you had them, then you would feel it all the time. If you lost them, then you wouldn't feel all right. So there's one boy, and they're sitting around in small groups, and there's one boy, and he's sitting there saying, well, I see this. It's inside me. This is inside me. My happiness is inside me. So he's then waxing lyrical about it, and this girl sat opposite him and folded her arms. She said, no, it's not that. Not for me, it's not. No, it's shopping. Shopping for me. But this boy's saying to her, yeah, but if I said you had to go shopping every day of the week, then you wouldn't like that. Yes, I would. I'd love it. I'd love it. So that was about lesson 4. We've up to about lesson 7 now with them. So I pull a leg each time. So I was saying, how's the shopping? How's the shopping? So that is very interesting, sharing it through a program. We used to share it with our own little program that we'd made, but we sort of collaborated a bit with Terry and Brian, and amazing work that huge amount of admiration I've got for the work that they've done. So what we point children towards, or what we point adults towards, is that actually that they've got all the happiness that they'll ever want, all the love that they'll ever want is inside them, and that we've got this superpower. I talk about that with adults as well, because I think I still think of it as a superpower myself.
Yeah.
That this superpower of thought, through which that power of thought, it's a creative power, and we create everything. And that's the bit that's the common bit. That's part of what helps join us up, in a sense, because that power of thought, that energy that runs through us, is common to everyone. What we make of it is going to be the individual. So, what with my power of thought, I bring to life this, that, and the other. With your power of thought, and then the other 7 billion of us. So, sometimes when Liz, that's my wife, is worrying about the state of the world and how people are getting along and so on, I say to her, do you know what? Considering there's 7 billion of us all having a view of this world that we're making up in our own thinking, through that power of thought, that isn't it amazing that we rub along as well as we do? Because the potential for not seeing eye to eye is huge.
It is so true. I also describe it like, Peter, having, this power, this power, invisible power, this powerful energy, like you say, that, the energy that created the universe is running through you.
Yeah.
Every single moment, the power that created all the amazing systems is running through you, available to you. We've got the power to bring our thought alive. If it pops in our head, we've got power to bring it, and play with it, even if that's just in our imagination. But we actually have power to bring things into our reality as we see it. Have an idea and make a few phone calls.
It is extraordinary. It's unbelievable. It's huge. It's big. And seeing people wake up to that, when I woke up to it myself, so much of the stuff that I'd lived up to that point in time, where I thought, well, I can only do this or I can only do that, and some of the limits I put on myself, I realised that's made up too, and that's a story I've created. And so the sort of the uncovering nature, it's like going along with a torch, really, in the darkness, and so you can see that bit further, and then you can see that bit further. And actually, you could go for miles in the darkness, but you just see the next bit, and a bit more is uncovered, and it feels like an uncovering, really, of what's already there. It's not something I've had to put in. It's not something I've had to learn. It's something I've had to remember, maybe, because you watch little children, and I think they're some of our best teachers, because they, if I take Archie, my grandson, when he was, I've forgotten how old he was, 3 or 4. I took him out for the day, and we had a really nice day out. I bought him this plastic car that he really wanted. And then Catherine phoned me and said, oh, Dad, can you bring some milk home? And so I said, oh, yeah. So we go into one of these huge supermarkets, and he sees a Superman outfit. He says, oh, can I have it, Grandad? And I go, well, yes, at some point I'll buy it for you, but not today because I've already bought you a plastic car. So at which point he goes into meltdown and he's crying and there's people looking. And in my head, my committee in my head's going, oh God, this doesn't look good. There's a man on his own with a child. The child's really distraught. This is terrible. And so it just occurred to me I needed to pick him up. So I picked him up and he's all hot and sweaty and snotty and blah. And so I carry on walking, trying to find wherever the milk might be. And then at some point he stopped crying and then he did like a little wiggle. And so he clearly wanted to get down. So no words were spoken. And then he held my hand.
Oh, bless.
And then he started speaking about other stuff. Now, what that seemed to demonstrate to me is that I might be wrong. When he's 25 and with his therapist, he'll say, the defining moment, the turning point in my life was when my granddad said no to me about the Superman, and that spoilt my life up to now. Now, that might be. I sense, though, that he had that experience and then he was into his next experience. And what we do as adults is that we'll have an experience and then we'll pull that apart and we'll think, so what did that mean? And should I have said that? And could I have said that? And why am I feeling that? And why am I still feeling that? And all that stuff and that mental chatter that we get into.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, we're designed, the intelligence behind life, we've got an intelligent psychological system that is constantly cleaning us up, really, and moving us on.
Yeah.
For the fact we get the impression of feeling stuck at times through that power of thought that we've then turned in on ourselves, and we're using it in a way where we're trying to think in our little minds that we can override this intelligent system somehow, and then we wonder why we get into problems with it.
And thank you for sharing that story, because it's so true. Many things could come out of that. How we're so manipulative, really, as human beings, that we don't get what we want, so we throw a tantrum or throw a paddy. And many a child would have had that sort of paddy, and maybe if Nan and Grandad had both been there, Nan might go, oh, just getting the Superman out. Thinking we're just keeping the peace and keeping him happy and making him happy.
What parents have said to me over and over, and of a phrase that means so not that, is that, for a quiet life.
Yeah.
Well, it might be in that millisecond that there's a quiet life, but you're giving license to think, okay, so if you do that, then I get what I want.
Yeah.
And that's not a great thing to learn.
And that's, I deal with Peter, especially in the world of addiction and recovery, and a lot of wealthy, I deal with, people that have been quite privileged and they've been used to getting what they want when they want it. And it just, you really see the opposite end of the, having so much money, and suddenly you can't get what you want. And we don't like not getting what we want. We don't like it until there's some acceptance of, oh, well, tried my luck. That one didn't, that one didn't go down. But that's all we're doing sometimes as adults, is throwing a tantrum. Anybody that's slamming a door, walking out of the house, getting out of the car at the traffic lights, we're innocently, manipulation sounds such a strong word, but we're always trying to gauge something the way we want it, in a business deal, in a relationship deal, suggesting something that we would like to happen. Wouldn't that be lovely if we went for a walk down by the river? Might be for you if you want to go for a walk down by the river. We don't just say, I really want to go for a walk down by the river.
Overlay it with a few things. Wouldn't it make it really nice this afternoon if we just did that walk by the river?
It doesn't always have to be about, we see manipulation being about getting things, but it's not just doing things the way we want to do it, but sugarcoating it that it'll be a good idea for everybody else to do it the way we want to do it. It's quite cute. It's cute. It's cute.
I think it reminds me of something Jack said, that he said, that we're born with a set of tubes through which we see life. And then I added a second thing to that, which I'll tell you in a sec, but and that is that we think we've got all the tubes. And he said, oh, he never said that. And I said, I'm sure you did. And he said, no, you've made that up, but I like it and I'm going to use it. So the idea being is that we live in a misunderstanding because we think that everybody's got the same set of tubes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course we haven't.
Yeah.
And then this other one that I still put down to Jack, but Jack reckons I've thought that up since, is that we think, the other misunderstanding is that we think we've got all the tubes. So we think we've got the whole picture, and we haven't.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things, you know, I don't know bin, because there is stuff in life that I don't know. So, you know, the creative power of thought will bring to life for us all sorts of stories and possibilities. But, you know, there's a knowing, you know, Sid says, doesn't he? There's a knowing and a knowing. And
A knowing.
you know, I think sometimes we do know, we feel it in our core, in our soul, in our essence, that that's true, you know. So there's stuff about some of this understanding that I can go in and I can be very certain about, very certain that I'm standing on very solid ground here, that this absolutely has resonated. Every part of my DNA and every cell in my body is saying, yes, this is a truth. And so there's that. And then there's other stuff that at times, you know, that, well, we're making that up as we go along. And I mean, sometimes some of those little stories and things are helpful. I had a little boy yesterday, and I mean, he didn't want to speak to me. He's 7. So his mum and dad are there. So he just didn't want to speak. He didn't want to take his coat off. He's got his coat on. He's got his gloves on. We've got the heating on. So I said to him, look, can you move your thumbs? So he did move his thumbs. So I said, well, you can do that if you're sort of understanding what I'm saying. You can do that if it's sort of, and you can do that if you need really me to say that in a different way. So we started off like that. And then it got the better of him, or he got too hot, and he took his gloves off, and then he took his coat off. And I said to his mum, "You might want to stay now."
Yeah. And
then we got the Play-Doh out. So Play-Doh we use as a metaphor. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Yeah,
but,
I have. Yeah.
So there's the metaphor of, there's the power of thought. This is Play-Doh, and that's the common bit. We've all got that. Yeah. And then we can make stuff with it. Yeah. And so he was into that. Suddenly, you know, he woke up. Then he started speaking. It got the better of him.
Yeah.
And the little chap just, you know, started to open up. And
that's so lovely. Yeah, it's like you thawed him out in a way. You know, literally come in frozen from the cold, or coming in frozen with fear, or frozen with the not, you know, the unknown, and then suddenly just actually playing with the Play-Doh is kind of cool, you know, to just see that, and that's your you know, I see that when you hang out in that presence, it's very very contagious and infectious. People.
It is. I mean, I see it, whether it's adults or children that I'm working with, is that it's somehow holding a space for them, really. It's holding a space, for a loving space for them to be, and I mean loving in the broadest sense of that word, that they can be. And you know, sometimes I might be saying to children, you know, so what occurs to you, what would be helpful to you, if, you know, because I had a boy that he sat down, he's 11, he said his name, he says, I've got anger issues. So I go, no, you haven't. He says, yes, I have. No, I have. So we did the ping pong, yes, no. And in the end, he laughed. And then we started to, I said to him, you know, I'm going to share something with you, this best kept secret in the universe, that I think was really helpful to me, and hopefully, you know, you might be helpful for you, and that you begin to see where your anger comes from. And when you begin to see how it is you work, that's really helpful. And it did, and it helped him in 2 or 3 sessions. One of the things he said in this sort of space that I'd asked him the question, so what would help him? And he said, if the adults would just leave him alone when he felt cross.
Wow.
What would happen, because he'd shout and swear and hit people, they were worried, understandably, what was going to happen with other children. So they're all closing in on him and asking him stuff. And he just really needs to be left alone. So we negotiated with the head that, yes, he could have a safe space he could go to when he started to feel this. Because I said to him, you know, on a 0 to 10 scale, what number would you know that you need to get out the classroom or get off the playground and go to a safe space? He said, about 6. So he knew.
Knows he can catch
Yeah,
himself like
yeah,
going down, falling into
yeah.
the wow.
So he did. Once he'd done that, then overnight it stopped. His anger, and he stopped hitting people. He still do the odd swear word, which took him a while to get over that one. But it's so interesting, and it can be for young people. I found in particular so quick. It can be like, oh yeah,
Wow.
see the logic of that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Whereas sometimes adults will take longer because they'll go, oh, you're talking, this is a bit like mindfulness, isn't it? Or CBT or NLP, and they'll run off all the things that they've done. Understandable, completely understandable, because that's bits of knowledge they already have. And it's like they've got hooks. And it's like, so where can I hang this hook? Oh yeah, it's a bit like that. And in case, yeah, it's a bit like all of those, but actually it comes before that.
Yeah, I always say they're like tools, and this is like the toolbox.
Yeah.
Toolbox, and
Yeah.
once we understand, we don't need to carry around so many heavy tools. They might still be helpful. There'll be things that people have done helpful that will pop up. Wisdom's very clever at popping into our memory box and pulling out something if we need it. But you don't have to walk around with a protective coat and a massive toolbox just ready for stuff to just ready for something to happen that you've got your tools. It's so much
And
fun,
also, it looks like if it's a toolbox, then it's finite. And the thing about wisdom is that it's infinite. And so the possibilities for us are infinite. Immediately we start to sort of close it down and focus down and think it's that, then we shut out all sorts of other possibilities.
Absolutely. We're not, that's wisdom in the moment, isn't it? That's
It is.
What's right for this moment, not what was right for what we learned from a textbook back in 3 years ago doing a course. What's right now for this situation with this individual here and now. And I think that's the difference. It's wisdom in the present moment.
It is. And thought in the moment. And so thought in the moment, I was saying to this little boy's mum yesterday is that, when because she was saying she worried a lot about the future. And I said to her, well, that's understandable. People do that. But so like, if you're going on holiday, it's quite handy to think ahead. Oh, I'm going to need to take my swimming things and my towel and some clothes. But what we often do is that we'll go beyond that, and then we'll start worrying and create the situation. And it might feel like this, or it might feel like this. And what will I do? And how will I cope with that? And the answer is we don't know really till we're in it and in the moment. And in the moment, something will come to us. And it might, it'll help us through. And it might be that we've sailed through it. It might be that we've really bombed out on it and it's terrible, but we'll still get through it. And so
we'll get through it. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. We've got to go through it.
We're going to go through it. Yeah. Woo.
Peter,
we're going on a bear hunt.
You're on my hero list. I want to thank you so much for being part of the 90 in 90.
Yeah.
Big cheerio from Rainy Island. And
well, you're on my hero list too, because you are one of the most smiley people. You exude the principles. So, and it's lovely what you're doing, because I think, the possibility of just hearing other people chat about it, somebody might hear it and not hear anything at all. And for somebody else, they might hear somebody else talking and think, oh, wow.
Yeah, great.
And I think that waking up of humanity is such a hopeful message for all of us, because in all the nonsense that goes on in the world at times that looks like everything's falling apart, the hopeful message is that actually we're all okay, we're all home, we're all doing the best we can. And actually the more people that begin to see that, naturally we'll be more loving, naturally we'll be more forgiving, and naturally we'll just rub along with each other and ourselves more easily. And I think that's the hopeful message for everyone.
Oh, hope for all, like Jack Kratky's latest book, Hope for All.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. Yeah. I haven't read that yet.
Read it. Yeah, I've just bought it. I've got it. I'm going to read it too.
Yeah.
Peter, lots of love to you. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon and talking to you more when we've got the iHeart up and running in Spain. And that'll be
great to share some stories.
Yeah. Thank you, my
Lots of
lovely.
love.
Love
Yeah.
it all. Thank you. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed this, everyone. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.